Coach, I'm curious, having done this last year in terms of installing a defense, now that you're about to go to spring practice, how has this install gone compared to last year where you were still learning it and trying to install it to the players?
Well, it's we're much farther ahead as a defense with the players, but as a staff as well. You know, we all been with Coach now, at least myself and AJ and a couple other guys for 2 years. But you know, a couple of them guys been with Coach for a long time, so now we all cohesive. We kind of know what Coach want, how he wanted to look, and we light years ahead of where we were a year ago.
Just as a follow-up to that, what does that mean? What is light years ahead? Can you kind of specifically say a couple things that you mean when you say you're ahead?
Well, I'm just saying, like, in order for the players to know the defense, the coaches need to know it well too, and they can't be learning while the players learning. So, right now, myself, the guys that came with Coach Knowles, we know the defense. So, we go to the meeting knowing the answer before he give us the answer. So, and now that just give you more confidence as a coach when you coaching it to your player, when you know it inside and out. That now your delivery is just different. It's just different.
Austin and Vince.
Coach, what have you seen out of Eateries this spring, and then two guys that came in, even though DeJuan knew the defense from being at Penn State, watching them acclimate to the room as well. What have you seen out of those three?
Well, just as a group overall, I've been totally impressed with the group of safeties. They all smart, they all football guys, they all got toughness. But Eden had a great spring. He's doing fantastic. You know, obviously Day knew the defense, but his growth of just being a year older is impressive. Dylan Lewis, you know, he doing a great job. He really coming along. TJ Metcalf, he wasn't in the defense. He didn't picked it up fast. But Sydney and DJ and all those freshmen too. You know, I got an impressive room just as far as attention to detail, wanting to come learn the defense every day, and wanting to practice. You know, these guys love to practice. They love the, you know, the competition. So I've been impressed.
We've heard Coach Knowles' defense described as a safety-driven defense. What does that mean to you in some specific terms?
Well, like our safeties got to make a lot of calls, and so they have to be intelligent, not only as be a good football player talent-wise, but they got to be mentally sharp. And fortunate enough right now, these guys pretty sharp. They pretty sharp. They on top of their stuff, and like I said, they come every day wanting to learn. So that makes it easy as a coach.
Patrick.
Coach, what does it say about Idris that you guys bring in several safeties from the portal and he stays and competes and has the spring like you said that he's had?
Well, this day and age, it's hard. You know, it speaks of volumes to him and what he feels about this program and the staff that was here. And just, he's just a good character kid. You be around him for, 5 seconds, like, man, this is a good, high character kid, and he loves Tennessee. And it's been impressive what he had done this spring.
Brent and Austin.
You knew Idris from the recruiting process, so you had an idea of what the personality was. But Sydney and Dylan Lewis, you probably didn't know a whole lot about.
No.
What were your expectations kind of in first meeting those guys, and kind of where are they compared to maybe where you thought they would be?
Well, I come in with a clean slate. People try to tell you about a player, this, that, and the other. And like I told them all when I met with them for the first time, y'all don't know me and I don't really know you. And I'm going to make my own impression of you. I'm not going to listen to somebody say, this is who this kid is. We'll create our relationship and you'll figure out who I am and I'll figure out who you are. And I've been thoroughly impressed with all of them.
Speaking of figuring out who people are, Jordan Thomas, I know you didn't know his story when you got here, but what's impressed you about him, watching him, the emotions come out of that kid last week when he got the Torchbearer Award, and being a guy who, dealt with an injury at his point in his career, and then seeing Jordan's story, like, you feel you kind of gravitate towards that kid a little bit just because you can relate, so to speak?
The first time we met, we gravitated to because our stories are very similar. Same knee injury. I just didn't have I didn't hit the nerve, but exact same injury. So when he heard my story and what I had to go through to get to this point, I think he started to say, man, my journey ain't gonna be as hard. And I listened to him, and he a faith-driven kid, and you just listen to him, and I didn't learn so much from him just about being a good person and, and how he's handling this whole situation. At least I was graduating. I ain't have years left in college at least. He had years left in college. So now you got to reprogram your brain to say, man, look, I can't play this game anymore. What am I going to do? And I want to be a part of it. So it's just been impressive being around him every day and trying to help him become a really good coach. And he helping me become a better coach. He prayed for me all the time, so that's good. That's good.
Patrick Advance.
Coach, have you ever coached a 6'4" safety like Joel Wyatt? And what about his skill set can translate to the back end of the secondary?
Well, I actually have. I was at Connecticut. I had a 6'4" safety, 220 pounds. Kind of remind me of Joel. So it's. I've been around this kind of guy. Most of the time when people see guys like this, he got to be he's not a linebacker. He's a safety. He can move like one. He can run like one. He's just young. He like all those young players. They got to learn the system, learn how we practice, learn how to be in college. But I've been impressed with him. I've been impressed with, KJ and Combe and Luke Thompson. They all doing a great job.
Obviously, you're so familiar with Coach Knowles, but how would you describe the chemistry with some of your other defensive coaches, including Coach Jones there at that corner?
Well, I've been knowing DJ for a long time, so we've been knowing each other 20 years. So it's an easy fix with me and him. Inge, I've been knowing Inge for a long time. Me and him met out at Purdue, had the same recruiting area, so we've been around each other quite a bit. Everybody know the legendary Coach Gardner, so it's. I met him as I was a baby coach. I was scared as hell of him, so I didn't even know what to do when I saw him, because you just heard the stories. But I think we got a great room. All our personalities are a little bit different, but it's a good mix, and I think we bring out the best in each other.
All right.
All right.
Thank you, Coach Deck.